Hello, and welcome to Northwest Knitting. My name is Kathy, and this is my knitting podcast where I talk about my knitting projects, yarns that I love, and my journey toward making sustainable clothing. I am so happy that you're here to join me today. You can find me on Ravelry as Northwest Knitting and on Instagram as Northwest Knitting. I'm coming to you from Eugene, Oregon, in the towards the end of the Willamette Valley in Oregon, and we are having a much cooler day today. Yesterday was lovely and didn't even get up to 80, but we've had some fiercely hot heat, hot weather, and not many times I'd be wearing this sweater. Even today, it's a little warm for this, but I'm going to tell you about it. So it's been a while, for which I apologize. I did record last week, and when I went to play it back, I realized that I was coughing through the whole thing. I don't know why. I wasn't sick, but I just coughed and coughed. I thought it was just too irritating to post. So I thought I'd give it another try. There's also been a lot of summer activity. A lot of it's been fun. Some of it has not. There was some hospital knitting again for 4 days, and which always affects my mood in terms of how adventurous I am or not with my knitting. But all is well, and I'm certainly well. And I'm really glad to be here. So if you are a new viewer, welcome, and I hope you find something of interest. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much. I love having you visit, and also I love your comments. I have, I think I told you in my last podcast that I have over 2,000 subscribers. That happened quite a few months ago, and I've been meaning to do a giveaway, so I will do that towards the end of the episode. It is the end of July, and this is episode 36, if you're keeping track. So I'll tell you first about what I'm wearing and some other finished objects. So that'll be the main focus of my episode. I have a number I'm going down the sock road, at least I'm giving it a good faith try. So I've had some enjoyment there. So I'll tell you about that. And then I do have a new book to tell you about. So let's get started. The first thing that I'm telling you about today is my garden cardigan by Ankestrik, and I did this holding 2 yarns together, so here's a swatch I did with my Jamieson Smith 100% Shetland wool, 2-ply fingering. I have it in a cone, and it is the FC61 colorway. It's really a fabulous colorway, I think. I tried doing it by itself. This wasn't bad, really. It just wasn't grabbing me. And the pattern is designed to be 2 fingering weights together, and I ended up doing these 2 together. So these 2 together made this, which is really, I think, interesting how the bright color really took away the gray, but I think the gray grounds, look how bright this is by itself, and the gray really toned it down, which I thought was a good thing. So that's what I've used, and I was pretty happy. I was pretty happy with the yarn in terms of like knitting with it, and certainly the mohair toned it down. I forgot to say that the mohair is Greenwood Fine Fluff. You can see how yummy that is there. And it is in the Cornflower colorway, and it is a mohair silk blend, I think about 70-30. So I ended up, this pattern, Green Garden Cardigan, has quite a bit of ease built into it. She expects you to have about 10 inches of ease, and which made the, so even her smallest size was bigger than you might see on most patterns, and I ended up going with size 2. So I ended up using size 6 needles for the body and size 3 for the ribbing. So let me show you this. What I like about it, there are a couple things that I just love about this pattern. One is it has an integrated button band, although there are no buttons, and it really hugs the neck nicely. It has a really sweet and elegant lace. There we go. I think you can really see that. And the lace is very easy to memorize. And after debating, I ended up going with this length, which it's hard for you to see because you can't really see my proportions all that well, but I am very short between here and here's my waist. I'm usually not knitting as long as a lot of people do. And I want to show you one last thing about this pattern, and that is this wonderful neck. So I'm hoping this is showing you that. So anyway, I did actually start making this a little bit shorter and decided I needed it longer, and I'm pretty happy with the length. The other thing is I did really make the sleeves longer. Sometimes I find that the woollier yarns, I don't find that the woolly yarns get longer. I heard someone say they did, but my experience is they often kind of start jumping up, and then I start long, and before you know it, when I'm wearing it, it feels like it's always up to here. So I just tried to make it extra long. And I did a nice tubular bind off with all of it and all the edges. And I'm very proud of myself for doing that. So anyway, it took me a really long time, I think, because it got super hot. And then I was traveling, so I didn't take it for traveling. And then when the days it got super hot, I put it aside, and then I wanted to knit something smaller or lighter, and I don't know why, I can't explain it. Usually I'm much more of a monogamous knitter. And then I suddenly got a couple things on there, and I don't know, I just didn't feel like I felt like I was knitting all the time and not being productive. But this is a hobby. The production is not where it's at, really. Except that I really, really want to be making things that I'm wearing. I'm not buying, I haven't bought a sweater for myself, even thrifted, since 2018, maybe 2017. And there are things I have some things that my non-knitted, my store-bought sweaters are getting thinner. And also, not all of my knits have been a home run. And actually some of those have started to wear out. So given how slowly I knit, I really want to have an outcome that is useful for me or for somebody else. So also I just wanted to mention, this is a drop shoulder, which I am finding myself pretty happy with drop shoulder. I've only done one other one. That was my pressed flowers cardigan, and it seems good. It's like it creates more space here. It makes it wider here to do the drop shoulder, it seems. I don't know. I'll keep experimenting and trying different patterns, but it creates it wider. I did not have to add any stitches for my hips. So even the second size was big enough for me. It fits very nicely. It really comes over, as I was talking about last time, really comes over the neck and sits there nicely. I feel like it's not going to be flying off as much as other unbuttoned, non-buttonless sweaters. It just is a warm and cozy, useful garment. And I could really see making this in something that didn't have mohair and just making it in maybe a nice DK weight could be really good. I do think that the lace might be a lot less visible in one of the dark colors that I like so much. And I feel like this shows it pretty well. So anyway, I am really happy about it. I guess the only modification I made is I think I do have a little less positive ease. So my hips when I get, and I think it does get down to the biggest part of my hips here, is 43 inches, and it's still left plenty of room for me. So actually I don't have the measurements in front of me, but when I was figuring it, I thought I would have less ease than the pattern because of that size there. And this up here is definitely wider than I would normally wear because I'm really small in the shoulder. So overall, it's a design that really works for me, practically speaking, even if I would not normally pick this kind of volume here. I think the drop shoulder kind of makes it hang nicely, and I'm pretty happy with it. It's also great to have the integrated button band. She has a nice slip stitch method that is similar to some others I've used, and it really makes a pretty sturdy band compared to if you made something buttonless and just did an ordinary button band, you might not find it sturdy enough. But this is really, it feels, it has some really good structure here at the end. And the lace texture is fairly easy to learn. You are doing the lace, so on one side you're purling. So if you don't like purling, this is probably not your deal here. It is knit flat in the sense that you're not, it's a cardigan, so you're not joining up. But of course I'm knitting it on big circulars and purling on one side, and then on the right side I am doing the lace, and it's pretty easy to start seeing it because you're going to do it one way on one row, purl, and then do it a little differently, have the yarn over in the different place, purl. So you can really get the hang of it. Now, it doesn't mean I didn't screw it up when I was too engaged in a TV and a streaming show or something, but really a manageable, easy to learn lace pattern. So anyway, that is my story of the garden cardigan, and I will put my Ravelry link and also links to Ravelry links to everything I talk about in the show notes below. Okay, it is a little warm, so I'm going to take this off and show you what it was funny picking, I really had to be thoughtful because even though this goes with quite a few things in my wardrobe, on the camera, they show up like I have my salty air tea, and all you could see, I put this sweater on and all you could see was all the lacy bits and my white skin just popping out. And it was very strange. So this top seemed to work pretty well. This is my old, I did this quite a while ago. It's the Derecho by Allison Green. And I talked about it in episode 9. And I did it in the remix DK, which is their lighter remix. At least it was at the time I made it. I haven't looked at remix for a while. And unfortunately, I don't know the color. That seems to be a mystery, and I gave away the rest of my skeins of it. It was just an awkward amount. And I gave it to a knitting friend, and she turned it into a fabulous shawl with some other colors. It was just great. And I have to say that I preferred the remix in a shawl than in an article of clothing. There's something, the remix is a combination of recycled fibers, and it does have acrylic in it, and there's something about the feel that I'm not totally excited about. But it turns out that for summer, it's a pretty nice, lightweight fiber, and it is a very simple, easy pattern. If you want a simple pattern, then this is your this is right there ready for you. It is so straightforward, really easy, with just, you know, some purl bump lines, some yarn overs, and it's very comfortable top. In episode 9, I also show you the other derecho I made in a cotton, and I actually wear the cotton one is so much heavier, and I like the look of it and everything, but this one is easier for hot summer wear. So anyway, I don't even think I did a Ravelry link for this one, but I will do it before I post this, and so you can see. Anyway, very easy summer top. Okay, I have a couple other finished objects because it's been so darn long. Let me take a swig. I went to Black Sheep Gathering, and the first thing I bought was this new cup. And now I have promptly forgotten the name of the people. I don't think, they don't have a website, so it's not like you can buy it anywhere, but I did want to do that. I'll put it in the show notes. They're really lovely people, and they live not that far away from me. They're from Philomath, outside of Corvallis. But what I loved about this is it's mostly a very matte finish. Look at that color. Just, makes me so happy. Just a really, really nice kind of, I don't know. I've always liked things that felt a little more rustic and less perfect, and this is really feels great. Also, very important to me, cup size. This is the size. This is the size, folks. Not for everybody, but for this gal, I like this size. So, whoops, there we go. Okay, my other new project is the Amren Shawl by Locatelli. And I made this out of the Tumalo fiber Ghost Town fingering. Here we go. And I showed you this last time and talked to you quite a bit about it. And this is the American Made series from Tumalo. And it is a Merino Rambouillet blend. And it's very soft. If you know your microns, it's about 20.4 microns. I think it's really soft. It's Shaniko wool from the Great Basin of the United States, and it meets the responsible wool standard. So it's just a great fiber. It is so soft that I'm not entirely sure, like I'd make a cardigan or something really hard wearing out of it. I'd love to hear from other people and see what they think. They were at Black Sheep Gathering, and I got to talk to Tatiana, I think is the name of the owner, and she had so many bases there. I thought that she was making primarily, using primarily American bases, and she said it just wasn't possible for her to do that. She tries to do it as much as she can. She also had Shetland wool from the UK and just all kinds of things. And I think I showed you last time, I have her Wildly Woolly DK, which is half linen, half wool, and that's from Europe. But she's from Bend, which is really close to me, and I'm real happy to support that. Her business, she's really great. This is a really easy pattern. Even the, I'm gonna get a little closer here, and let me just try and show this to you. So it starts, you start here, and we have different, so you finish a lacy bit here, and then after the lacy bit, you do a wedge to straighten it out. So then you can go along here. So right along here, you go, 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 get to the next lacy bit, and you do a wedge, and so on. And you go with these intermittent lace panels. I hope you can really see the lace. There we go. There we go. And you also can see the color variation in this Tumalo fiber, and I'm using the Costa Azul colorway. And then at the end here, you do a double row of lace. And the designer uses, has little, she has much shorter little tassels. I've never been a big tassel gal. But I experimented with this one and decided that I would put some at the end, and then otherwise I did it at these little lace panels. And here we go. So this is, I think it's a very light shawl, and I think it will be more of a it'll be more of a scarfy thing, or a summer shawl if you're getting chilly. We had a long period where there was no getting chilly. Even late at night, it wasn't getting, the temperature wasn't cooling down, which is really unusual for us. Let me tell you, after living here for 45 years in the valley, having it not cool down is not how it's been historically, and it has really changed. The garden has changed. We planted tomatoes almost a month earlier than we might have 20 years ago. So tomatoes look great. My basil is just booming. I've already made several batches of pesto. Our strawberries and raspberries and blueberries all just were wonderful. They're kind of new, and especially the blueberries, we keep waiting for them to get enormous so we can have more, but to put away. But anyway, so the sun has in some ways been great for the garden. We did have some loss recently. I was surprised by a loved one's medical issue, and I came home and realized one day when I finally looked at the garden, I realized that I hadn't watered. Some of my perennials look so sad. But anyway, Yesterday was so cool, and last night we were sitting outside, and a friend came by, and I actually had to go get some of my shawls because we were chilly. So I'm sure I'll be using this at times, and I'm just real happy with it. This was designed to be a one skein project. When she says one skein, she's talking about the usual about 450 yards in a skein, fingering weight skein. So maybe like your ordinary, your sock yarn or something. She's not talking about woolly wool that comes in these tiny little bits here. But anyway, almost all of us have a skein or two of something like this, and I wanted to see what it looked like. I wanted something pretty plain. It actually has much more variation in color than I was thinking it did, but I'm real happy with it. So it's not really reversible. Let's see. So this is the front. It really, unless you know what the pattern is, I don't think you'd notice too much. You don't feel bad having it in the wrong side. So anyway, here we go. So that was very satisfying to do. I will say, there's one thing I was going to tell you about the lace. I will say that the pattern for the lace is not hard. The way I do lace and get through it is to use markers. So I like to mark each repeat. Most of the time that works because the repeats are repeatable and the marker doesn't move. But there is one row in this repeat, lacy repeat, that the marker does have to move because you're doing either a knit two together or you're doing something that involves having to go past the marker. And I was trying to find ways to do it fast. And at one point I was resorting to taking the marker in my mouth. I debated on whether I was going to tell you that fact, but you could just take the marker, put it down, do the thing, put it back. But that is the only piece. And then you go to the next row and you don't have to deal with that. But if anybody has done this and has some other trick, please let me know. Please save me. But otherwise, it's just a lovely pattern. And I haven't watched it yet, but Fruity Knitting has Joji Locatelli as a designer they've interviewed. And I'm looking forward to seeing that in their newest episode. So let me tell you some other things I have. Amazingly, this is embarrassing, how long it's taken me to do these socks, but I am finally done. So this is the, this is the basic sock with integrated heel by Ailbionna McLochlain. And I use West Yorkshire spinners, 4-ply, 40% wool, 35% BFL, blue face luster, and 20% nylon. And this is in the blue Lagoon colorway. And you can see, wait a minute, I'm showing you the wrong side. I'm looking at one side, but you can see this is the heel. So it's a very subtle little heel. That's why she calls it basic integrated heel. Just this little bit. And if you do want a pattern where the stripes are less interrupted than most, there it is. So there's a few funky things in here. I really do struggle. The pattern did have one, that's the pattern, not me. One little thing, if I care about it, I could duplicate stitch over it. And I use candy skein yarn. I think it's the poppy seed colorway, but I'm not sure. No, blue corn chip. And for the top. And then on this one, oh golly, on this one I just saw a hole. I also did it here, and I totally forgot, got to the end, and this is what the pattern does if you don't, the pattern of the yarn does if you don't do the blue at the top. But having gotten that far, I just let it go. I was sorry to hear that Candy Skein is going out of business. I have enjoyed some of their yarns. So this is the one, yeah, blue corn chip, I think was this blue right there. Yeah. And I really, really like this. This is their Yummy Fingering. And I got quite a bit of it one time. They were in Astoria, which is one of my favorite small cities in Oregon, because it's right on the, it's where the Columbia River goes into the ocean. It's just a spectacular spot, and I highly recommend that as a place to visit. And they had a store, bricks and mortar store, and at one point I was visiting there, and I did get quite a few different colors that I used mostly for baby clothes. So she was really good with dyeing, and I still have quite a bit left, and you know, really sweet colors. And I have quite a bit left. Oh, here was one. French macaron, I think, or macaroon maybe. And I am thinking of, if I don't use them for some more, maybe I could do some striped children's sweaters or something like that. But if not, I have thought about doing either stripy socks for myself, or even holding them double, which I'll tell you about that idea in a minute. But anyway, I'm happy to have these. This pattern does fit me pretty nicely. I just never really get into my comfort zone on size 1 needles. But here we do have some finished socks. So there we go. And then I have 2 other sock patterns in the works. So let me tell you about those. On the topic of holding 2 yarns together, let me tell you about this one. So this is the, I'm doing a pattern by Lindsey Fowler, and she did the, she did a book a couple years ago that I talked about, and Salt and Timber, and she was inspired by the Oregon coast, and I did 2 shawls from that pattern. But these are, the socks I'm doing are high desert socks, and it's, you're holding fingering yarn double to create a DK weight. And I'm doing size 3 out of that, and I'm using scraps. So let's see if I can find a pattern. Oh, here we go. Now here, and she has sizes for the whole family. So there we go. You can see they're quite, she's holding it double and marling. And she doesn't do measurements for all these sizes. She does she uses the standards of the Craft Yarn Council sizing guide. And so in some ways it's easier for you if you just look at your US shoe size. And I'm between 7 and 9.5. That puts me at adult small, and that's the size I'm doing, and it does seem to be working out okay. Really, in some ways, socks are kind of flexible, because if it's pretty much right around the width, then you can just alter the length as you need to, and that's what I usually do. I've tried these on, so this is what I have. I'm almost finished. I'm just getting ready to finish the toe. And so this is a very heavily marled. I'm not following her directions on when to change yarns. I'm just doing it when I feel like it, which is a lot about how much yarn I have of each of each thing. But what I'm using is the West Yorkshire spinner that I used here is also showing up here. You can see. So I've done this before. I made a cute baby hat. So here's some self-striping yarn that I bought. I'm sure I showed this to you ages ago. And I ended up making a baby hat that may or may not have ever gotten onto this podcast, that I held with dark blue. And it was amazing how much the color looked better to me held double. So I thought with this that I would be happy to use up some of these sock yarns that I got. All of them are the kind that have nylon in them, except I'm also using this one, which is Rauma Phenol Gamma-Seri, and it is Rauma's sock yarn, but it's 100% wool, and it's sock yarn, considered sock yarn because of the high twist. So this was some I started using, and I ended up tearing out the pattern because I was using the needles were too small, but I've always wanted to try this. So I'm holding this. I have my leftover West Yorkshire spinners, and then I also found this in my stash. Not enough for one full pair of socks, but enough to add here. So I've just been going in and out with all of them. Some of them are not as marled. I could have been a little more subtle, perhaps. And if you use solids, of course, you'd get a different feel as down here. You can see I am holding two together all the way down, but they're less spectacular on the contrast there. Anyway, so I'm making these, and shock. The second one is, I'm already down to the heel turn for this. So this is a heel flap and gusset, and I think there is a very good chance I'm going to finish these socks, which would be fantastic. I am using size 3 needles, and that is also, for me, this has been zooming along compared to ordinary socks. Now I will say though, that when you are doing DK weight socks, I think they'll be fabulous with boots in the winter, but these are thick socks, and I'd almost like something not quite as thick. So I'm just curious. I heard, if you have any ideas of sock yarn, and I'd really love to experiment with some yarn that's using something in place of nylon. So any ideas you have, send them along. One that I have on my list to try is Woolly Thistle's new Rambler. I'd love to hear if you have any comments about that, because I have heard some people have said it's a little bit thicker, just a little bit thicker than ordinary sock yarn. So I'd love to hear if anybody's knit with it and what they think. So anyway, that's one. And when I got to go to Black Sheep, I did not buy tons of yarn. I had a fabulous time. I spent a day. First I went very early one day on Friday, signed up for a class. I came early because I wasn't sure I was, they don't let you sign up online. So I had to show up, sign up for a drop spindle class. So I took the class on Saturday, and on Friday after I signed up, I wandered and did the marketplace. So I'm not sure I'm really gonna jump full steam ahead into the spinning, but I'm giving it a try. So it was fun to do, and I think you learn a lot. But on Friday, I really did the marketplace, and you know, it's just so much fun. I ran into some people. Anybody who ever stops me, I just love it. I talked to the Tumalo fiber, and I found out about a, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this again. There is a new yarn store in Waldport, Oregon. I'll put the link below. I was thrilled to meet those people because there's never been a yarn store in Waldport. This is a lovely coast town. And so if you are there, check them out. They had a lot of interesting yarns, and I'm looking forward to seeing them when I go to the coast next month. So I met them, and then the other people that I was really excited about, among all the people I talked to and everything else, was the Skagit Woolen Works. And so I ended up buying skeins of yarn from them. So what they have, they are a fairly new operation. They, so this is what I got. This is their fur oak sock, and it is a cross, they said, a unique cross of Suffolk and Romney from San Juan Island, which is a tiny little island in the San Juans. Maybe not that tiny, but it's the biggest one, but it's an island. And they said makes a sturdy, bouncy yarn, resistant to shrinking, ideal for socks. And it is 3-ply, fingering weight, 200 yards, 2.2 ounces. And I've really enjoyed meeting Anna and Jess, the owners. They have a lot of young energy. I'm appreciating younger energy these days. And I just thought they're doing some exciting things. With every purchase, they were giving samples of their wool pellets. So some of the waste wool, they've got a way to make pellets out of the waste wool, which you can use in your garden as a wonderful substitute, a wonderful, sustainable, biodegradable alternative to peat moss, which is a ecological disaster because it is not replaceable. It just takes so many centuries. I don't even know how many centuries it takes to create peat. But anyway, we should not use it in our gardens probably. So if you are, think about it, research it, see what you think. And I'm hoping that more places like Skagit Woolen Works will start doing that with their waste wool. And right now I haven't, so I got the pellets and I haven't bought any yet. But I'm really curious about that. So anyway, this is sock yarn. It does not have nylon in it, and I'm giving it a try. Okay, so it is, I think, they told me it's a true fingering weight, but they found it just a little bit thicker than normal for socks, and I am finding that to be true. So here's my first, and I just noticed, I don't normally knit with double pointed needles. I like them, but I have lost double pointed needles down inside into my car when I've dropped the needle through the seat. I have lost double pointed needles through the slats in my front porch. I have lost them in the dust while camping. And so I have found double pointed needles not portable for me. If you have ways to keep your hands on these, let me know. And I normally don't knit too much with wooden needles, but I am finding that they seem to grip better, and I haven't lost them yet before, but look at here, I just lost some off the needles. So what am I knitting, you're wondering? Okay, I am knitting the Transatlantic socks by Virginia Sattler-Reimer. They come in only one size. Oh, and by the way, I'm using the Mariner. This is the Mariner colorway, and this is the natural cream. And I did get one more color from the Skagit Woolen Works, a dusty rose, which I have no idea where it is right at the moment. But anyway, I am making this pattern basically backwards. The designer uses the lighter color where I'm using the greeny blue. And I think, do I have a picture here? So it actually has a different look. I feel like mine's looking a little more Christmassy. Although I know I'm going to be enjoying it in the winter. Here's one. That's a black and white version. So you could see on the, if I had done the white, you'd see the cabling better. So who knows, maybe I'll do another one, but I just love that Latvian braid. And they're just so easy to do, but they just, I love them. I love them. The design actually calls for holding, I think she calls for, she used John Arbon Exmoor sock yarn, and she held it double. And I think you can get a kit at Woolly Thistle for that pattern and for several other of Virginia's patterns. But I wanted to try the Skagit Woolen Works. They are, they're not on the San Juans. They are in Mount Vernon, Washington, which is not, you're not very far away from getting a ferry to the San Juans. And they're trying to do regional wools. And I'm just so happy that they have the energy. They're also, I think, processing for other producers of wool, growers of wool. So they're just a great, wonderful, energetic addition to the region. But I wanted to try this more local to me yarn, and because this is a slightly heavier than some sock yarn, I was able to get gauge using this yarn. So, you know, it's always thicker with the color work. I did not go up a size, but I am very happily using size 2s instead of 1s or 0s. And it seems like it's coming out. Certainly the color work is thick enough. So we'll see if I think that's thick enough down here. But anyway, I'm having fun. Also, you might have heard me say I haven't done a lot of cabling. So I'm having fun doing that. And yeah, so that's the beginning of this. I've actually pulled out and redone a bunch because I haven't done color work in a while, and I was having trouble getting it to look smooth enough. But I'm feeling pretty good with this, and I'm enjoying using the yarn. Okay, and because I am so excited about the Skagit Woolen Works, I am going to give away some of their sock yarn as a giveaway. So I am giving these 3 skeins of yarn to somebody who likes and subscribes to my channel and comments below. And I would like you to tell me, let's see, it doesn't have to be for socks, okay, because that would be crazy. I'm not even a passionate sock knitter most of the time. So you have to just tell me, what are you working on, or what have you most recently been excited about knitting? And what is it that excited you? What did you enjoy about it? So you comment below, and I will do a random selection and announce it in the next video. So anyway, give it a go if you want to try some of this yarn. And there's no reason why you have to do socks or anything in particular. You could do this pattern, maybe, or do something else. And there's no, I did think about dyeing this, actually, and giving that a try. So I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of comments I get, and who gets this. And I'll put the link to Skagit Woolen Works below, and you can explore them on your own. Okay, I think, oh my gosh, I am really going along. I do have one, I'm going to tell you one more thing. I am kind of interviewing, I'm auditioning some top patterns. And one that I am auditioning is the is a top by Fiber Tales. Oh my gosh, do I not have the name? Oh, good heavens. Oh. Well, darn, I don't have the name of it here, but it's the newest top by Fiber Tales. I'll put the link below. And she has a cute little top you could see she has a nice little I-cord button there, and then this crochet edge. She shows you how to do it, and I am thinking of doing that in this yarn, which I bought at the an estate sale this year, and it's called Savannah, and the color is crepe myrtle, 50% wool, 20% cotton, 15% linen, and 15% soya. And it is they're calling it a light size. It looks kind of a DK. And I just did a swatch last night, which I was about to bind off and something happened, but it's creating this. So I'm thinking about that. I don't know why I've been just so reluctant to start a fingering weight top, but I really have. I just haven't been in the mood. I have some wonderful linen fingering weight. Well, it says it's heavier, but when I start working with it, it seems more like fingering weight to me. So anyway, I'm kind of exploring. There's another top that I'm looking into called the Summer Saunter by Samantha Gurin, and I might not do the Fiber Tales one and do that one instead. It has a little. Both of them are similar in that they do have kind of a drop sleeve cut, and they have a V-neck, and I think that's where I'm leaning right now. Anyway, I think that's it for the knitting. I just want to tell you, gosh, I've read quite a few mysteries and books that I just can't think that they're something I really want to stand behind and recommend. But I did read a really good book recently, and that was James by Percival Everett. And it's a brand new book, and I probably wouldn't have read it quite as early, soon after publication, but a friend of mine loved it so much she wanted to do a book club meeting about it, and we did. And basically, it is a retelling of the Huckleberry Finn story, but from the perspective of Jim, the the runaway slave. And this story is from his perspective, and James, the title, tells you a whole lot about where this book is going. And it is such a different story told from his perspective. His one of the big themes of the book is he, like so many other enslaved people, were bright and learned and could learn, and were just pretend it was to their benefit to pretend to be not as bright, not as gifted, and because that's how white people preferred to think of them. And it is James is a wonderful character, and it is really an engaging story, and it's interesting because, to me, even though there's some things in it that are so horrific, there's something about the way he has a lighter touch that conveys it all, but without, I was able to read it and get through it. And anyway, I do highly recommend the book. One reason you might have heard his name more recently besides the book James is he wrote Erasure, which they based the movie American Fiction on, and that was up for a lot of nominations at the Emmys, at the Academy Awards. So anyway, I recommend that book. And then there's two other books that I wanted to mention because of the idea of a story being told by somebody else's perspective, from somebody else's perspective. Where did I put it? Oh, I have a sheet of paper here reminding me. So another book that I read that tells a completely different perspective of a very familiar story is the book Longbourn by Joe Baker. This was written about 12 years ago, and it is the story of a maid, one of the maids of Elizabeth and her sisters, Elizabeth Bennet and her sisters in Pride and Prejudice. And it's the story from the perspective of the maid who is chafing at the constraints of class, that the stories really in that one don't overlap as much. In James, you're in the Huckleberry Finn story. Your Huckleberry Finn is an active character, whereas in Longbourn, it's really a very different story without the Bennet sisters playing a prominent role. But it's a very good book. The other idea of going from looking at things from somebody else's perspective is the book The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner. And many people read this in school. For some reason, I never did, but I read it in my early 20s after I was out of college. I was on a journey to read more books that I think I had a housemate that was an English major, and she was always telling me of some book that I absolutely had to read to be educated. And The Sound and the Fury was one. And what I liked about the book is that the story is told, I believe, from the perspective of 4 different people. And you're doing different chapters are told by different characters. And you are getting a very, very different perspective and bits of the story from different people. And what I like about this idea is we are just having so much trouble in the world seeing things from other people's perspective that it's just something to think about. Is while you're in your world, we're all like the heroes of our own world here. While you're in your hero world of your own, what's going on with everybody else, and just something to think about for me. And James was a really good way to realize, boy, did I look at this story from a very narrow view. And I highly recommend that book and these 2 others. Okay, I am going to wrap this up. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you, and feel free to comment about all kinds of other things in addition to the giveaway idea. And I really look forward to hearing from you and seeing you next time. And I will try very hard not to have so much time pass and tell you what I'm knitting next. So thanks for watching, and happy knitting.